Okay, so hello and welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be going through something that's really simple, but it's often overlooked, and it's a really good editing tip that can speed up your workflow massively inside Premiere Pro. Let's get to it. Okay, so what is it? What is this trick? What is this one thing that's going to help your editing massively? Proxies. Okay, so the next question is, what is a proxy? So a proxy is a smaller, lower res, lower quality version of the same video file. So Premiere is going to make this for you, and then it's going to make your computer be able to run all your footage a hell of a lot easier. It's very commonplace now to be shooting very large video files, whether they're 4K, 6K, or whether they're just, codecs that the computer doesn't like. All those kind of problems, especially on these lower DSLR cameras where the codec's not often very computer friendly. It can be really difficult to edit high quality, high res files in Premiere if you've not got a beefy computer. And look, the kind of rigs that are required to make this editing process easy on a computer are expensive. Not everyone can afford them, and it's definitely something you might need to work towards in the future. You need a lot of RAM, you need a really good graphics card, and these things all add up. So if we can get around that and have an easier solution, one that doesn't cost anything, that can be done straight inside Premiere Pro, that seems like a really good idea. So let's dive straight in. Okay, here we are inside of Premiere Pro. I am on the cloud updated version, so this is the most newest version of the software. It should work the same unless you're too far behind, in which case this feature might not have been brought in yet, but let's jump straight in. Okay, so I'm just going to drop in a few clips from a project that we worked on the other day. So let's just drop these straight in. Now, obviously, I'd normally organize my footage better than this, but this is just for example's sake. So we've got the footage inside of Premiere Pro, and the next step is really simple. All we're gonna do is we're gonna highlight the footage, we're gonna right click, we're gonna go up to Proxy, and then we're gonna go create proxies. Now it's gonna open up this little dialog box for you. What you're gonna wanna do is change this, because this should be, well, it can be either, but I use QuickTime normally. And then we're just gonna set it to ProRes low resolution proxy. Now what this is actually doing is creating a smaller, less compressed version of the file. This does mean that the actual file size itself is going to be slightly bigger, and it is going to create a duplicate, so you do need to make sure you've got space on your hard drive for this. But it's going to allow the computer to run it a lot better. So once we've got these settings sorted, we're just going to make sure that our destination is correct. I normally set it to what's defaulted, which is next to the original media in a proxy folder. This is just going to make a new folder next to your original clips that called proxy, and that's just going to, then you're going to know where it is. Okay, so if you just click OK, what it's now going to do is bring up Media Encoder. Now you do need Media Encoder installed for this to work in this workaround. There are other ways of doing it, but they're a little bit more complicated, and I'm not going to get into them today. So once Media Encoder is open, you're going to see that what it's going to start doing is loading in those clips. It's instantly going to start creating this new proxy file for you. Now, depending on your computer and your hardware, this could take a while as it is processing a new file. Depends on the size of the clip, whether it's 4K, all those kind of factors. So what I suggest is that you leave this and go and do something else, or put this on, overnight if you've got a lot of footage to get through. Okay, so the next step is to make sure we've got this toggle proxy button available inside our edit window. If we haven't, then just go across to this little button editor down here, click that, and you've got all these extra options. If you click and drag that down there, it's just going to pop that into your bar for you. Now, here's where the magic happens. So we now just click the toggle proxies button. It's going to go blue, which means it's activated. And now what the computer is actually showing you and what it's going to try and play back is the proxy file. So if I zoom in here, you can see that this file is a much lower resolution. It's a lot worse quality, and if I flick that back off, you can see it goes back up to top quality. Now here's the important thing. So when I've got that toggle proxy button now activated, it's going to play this really smoothly with no problems, and really any decent computer should be able to now handle this footage. As I said, this can be great if you're using high-res files, 4K, that can really bog down a computer. This simple trick can really make your editing a hell of a lot faster. So there we have it, a really simple trick that can make editing inside Premiere Pro a lot easier. Now, I've spoken to people even recently who have done this on laptops and just, low-end computers that really can't handle any footage, never mind whether it's 4K. So this is a really tried and tested trick. And let me tell you, this used to be a hell of a lot more difficult and a lot more tricky. Proxies have been around for a long time, since digital media has really existed, but this Premiere Pro workflow, where it does it automatically for you and it knows what file to use, has only been around quite recently. You used to have to drop in files, delete the old files, relink it to the new files, etc, etc. It got really, really complicated and was a real pain in the arse. And quickly, one last note, sometimes people get worried that it's going to then export a low resolution version of the video. It's not. When you press export in Premiere, the same way you always would, it's going to jump back to the original file and it's going to use that no matter what. So you're never going to export at the low quality. You don't have to worry about changing off the proxies. And if you want to grade within Premiere Pro, obviously just flick it back off and then color grade on the highest resolution so you can really see what you're doing. So I hope that was interesting, guys. I hope that can really speed up your editing process and get rid of that horrible, chuggy, annoying crap when it comes to editing. This also might open a door for you to be able to shoot in 4K or higher resolutions and not really kind of bog down your computer. So with all that said, I look forward to seeing you next week where we discuss another tip about editing, cameras, or whatever it might be. See you later.